deciduous trees and some conifers. And I just put an inquiry on some specific varieties today to see what they actually have. I looked at their online inventory and I updated our spreadsheet to that's what their website says they have right now and what sizes and what varieties. I emailed them to confirm that that's actually up to date and what they think they'll have, say, in mid-September. So we could do a variety of bare root conifers, and we could do some deciduous, either plugs or containers, depending on how much we want to spend and what the destination is for the trees. The plugs are about 8 to 24 inches, depending on the specific variety of tree. That's another, so there is, and I do think we'd be able to get them next month. Again, I've emailed to confirm that, but I'm feeling a little more optimistic that we might be able to have some variety. And the plugs are about $1.75 each. So we could probably make that work.
Where did you say that was from?
Wild Type Nursery in Mason.
Oh, wow. Okay. Mm-hmm. I love those guys.
I know. Bill's the greatest. And he gave me some suggestions on some other varieties too, so.
Awesome. Well, that's...
Is that also the source of bare root conifers you mentioned?
The conifers, he does have some. He has some tamarack and some white cedar, but we can get them for even better price from up north when we,
Right.
We're doing a bulk order anyway. We can put an order in together.
Good.
I like the idea of supporting our local folks as well.
Mm-hmm.
Hesitate to make major decisions without Rose and Jim Kilbasa present.
Yeah, and I know Jim had come up with a number for some larger trees, but I don't know what his source is, so I don't have to lean on him for that information.
Okay,
if we're not going to do school projects, maybe the larger trees aren't something we would do this year. It's hard to say, really.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there may be some interest otherwise, but I know that was on at least the paperwork that I saw, that perhaps larger ones were more for school projects and not what schools are going to be in right now or when.
Mm-hmm. I do have been playing phone tag with both supervisors of the maintenance staff at Hazlitt and Okemos, and we do have some tentative locations if we can arrange for a planting day. How many students participate is up in the air.
Right.
We do have some teachers that are interested and are willing to potentially recruit, but it seems like an activity that could be, students and teachers might like, parents too, just sort of a community-based thing that for those that get tired of the online classroom. And of course, trees are a great opportunity to talk about math, history, science, just a physical activity.
Yeah, if the schools are willing to do an outdoor activity with students, even if they're doing online instruction, that'd be fun. But I don't know if they'd be willing to do that. So
we would need a plan for a COVID plan for how do we maintain the social distancing and require masks and things like that. But
yeah, and the size of the group and so on.
Phil DeShane flagged me down yesterday, and here he is now.
Oh, there he is.
Good morning, Phil.
Good morning.
I just mentioned your name. You must have been. We were talking about the planting of the big trees in Okemos and Hazlitt.
Okay.
As still a possibility, and I was starting to mention that the mass distribution idea that we had in classrooms is maybe something that we hold off until next year, depending on what our resources are. Michelle also gave us an update of some. We thought we couldn't get any deciduous trees this fall, but she does have a local source. The cost is a little more, from Wild Type Plant Nursery, which we've used before with our rain garden and other projects. And they're one of the nation's leading, they do huge projects all over the Midwest. And they're a pretty remarkable group here, locally.
How much more are they than what we expected to pay?
Michelle, do you want to answer that?
Yeah, if we just limit ourselves to plugs that are maybe 8 to 24 inches in size, they're about $1. Most of them are $1.75. Average price for a bare root tree is closer to maybe 60 cents each. Depends a little bit on the variety.
Okay. So we're talking about the saplings here rather than the full-grown trees.
Yeah.
We did also find out that we've got to push this towards mid-September for farmers market, which I think I mentioned the other day. We also, let's see. Michelle also mentioned that there are some conifers available from Wild Type as well. But that she's also going to be pursuing her bare root contact in up north. I'm not sure where that is.
Yeah, we already have our fall order placed, but there are still trees available. If the township wants to place their own order, or we could add on to our order if that is easier. We can be flexible about how we do that. We'll be picking ours up on September 22nd, I think.
When would be practical to start the farmers market table? Should we time that pickup with yours?
I don't think that would be a problem. I mean, this isn't like spring. We're not talking about tens of 10,000 trees. So I think we could manage to pick up, if the township had 500 trees, we could easily pick those up.
So maybe starting the market on the September 23rd would make sense. I'm just thinking out loud. The other option is to move it after our big recycling day on the 26th. I suppose there's even a chance that we could distribute some trees at that recycling event on the 26th. But
I bet we could. I bet most volunteers would take one home with them.
I kind of like that idea.
Remind me, is the recycling event the 25th or 26th?
The 26th. We're still working out details.
Okay.
And it's going to be a focus on electronics.
Oh, okay.
It's also going to be, we've got state, and it's going to be a pretty huge event, so we potentially could give away a lot of trees on that day. Maybe it would be best to, I don't know, I don't want to complicate things too much, but it might be sort of a nice token gesture to say, thanks for coming, would you like a tree? And then put it in their windshield wiper and send them on their way. No,
well,
go ahead.
Just a reminder that we have our tree sale pickup is the 25th and 26th. So so I will be prepping trees from the 23rd, and our sale ends Saturday at 1 o'clock. So I'll be pretty consumed with that process.
Okay, well, maybe we should move. I'm just thinking out loud. We don't have to decide right away, but I don't want to complicate things too much at the recycling event just because there's a lot of uncertainty already. But it might be it's also going to be a regional event, so we'll have people from all over, from Lansing, East Lansing, Clinton County. I don't have a problem giving trees to everybody, but
Leroy,
yeah,
I think politically we want to give trees to Meridian residents, okay?
okay.
I just think it's the right thing to do. But well, we should have enough Meridian residents there that we shouldn't block for potential people to give them to. This might be the best venue to kick this off. I like your idea a lot, Leroy, of dovetailing this with the recycling event. I would personally be willing to set up a station greeting or catching people on their way out, the big sign that says help the environment, plant a tree, and giving them those tree saplings then on their way out if they're a Meridian resident. How many people or cars typically come through the recycling event? Right?
Well, typically it can be from 500 to 800, but this event is uncertain because it is going to be more regional. Recycle-Rama was canceled. The focus is just on electronics, so we're not sure. We might get 1,500 cars. But most of the volunteers will be Meridian. So I don't want to be in a position where we don't give something to someone who's not Meridian. I just think that would be awkward.
What if we made it?
Go ahead.
Could we make it free for Meridian residents, but cost of the tree sapling for others?
Anything is possible, but I'm just thinking, given the high degree of uncertainty with COVID and just all the we're not sure how many trailers we're going to be backing in and out. We also want to keep traffic flowing very smoothly. We don't want people to stop for conversation. Right. We don't want people to get out of their car.
Right.
But I do think it would be a nice thing to offer volunteers. We normally have 40% of our volunteers are students. We're not going to have those students this year, most likely.
Right.
So we're going to be looking for ways to recruit about 75 volunteers, and this might be that's 75 or more trees if we give a couple away.
That sounds just ideal to give them away to the volunteers as a thank you and to build on Phil's idea there, plant a tree and.
Yeah, that's a nice idea.
I think it's really cool. If you can give out 75 trees, that'd be a smooth way to do it.
And you've got an audience, yeah, and I think that group would probably be very interested, right, in actually going to get them in the ground.
Yeah, probably the most likely people to plant a tree.
Yeah,
For
I think
sure.
so too.
I agree with you. The question is, how many do we want to make available for people who are there to donate or to recycle?
That's a good question. The other thought is the tree planting day. That since the event is at Chippewa and one of the major sites that we've identified is also at Chippewa, there's a possibility that after 3 o'clock we could be doing some tree planting later in that day and maybe even some distribution. So tree planting of the larger trees. It's just going to be a long day for some people, but when I get a hold of Steve Kioski or Steve Lathrop from the schools, just to confirm, there's a few remaining issues that we have with the schools, and one is who's going to care for the trees. And I'd like to get your ideas about that, but if we're planting $1,000 worth of large trees, we want to make sure that they're properly cared for, and how we do that. I haven't gotten a confirmation of whether the school can help with that. I don't want to totally change gears, but let's keep the doors open on that event for tree distribution and talk more about what's practical on that.
If
But-
there was an event that started at 3, I could make my way over there to help with that. Was Luca willing to recruit some students to help with the tree watering? That came up, but I don't know if that was how firm that was.
I don't even know what's involved with tree watering. And I'm not sure Luca does, but or if there's water out there. Part of the challenge is it seems to be pretty far from water.
Okay.
There might be a fire hydrant that we could tap, or we might be able to get tree bags. What other? I don't really know much about this topic, so I'm just not even sure what to ask Luca.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I was. Yeah, I was thinking it was just, manual. I was just thinking very simple manual, like with watering. 6 kids with watering cans or something. But if it's far from a water source, that makes that more complicated. Or if they have to have access to the building or something like that to get water, that's a lot more complicated.
With access by truck, can you get a truck out to that potential location?
I think so, yeah.
Well, Meridian Township has their watering truck. So that's, if we could borrow that or whatever.
Hijack it.
Yeah, you distract them, I'll swipe the keys.
I'll put on my extra big mask.
Oh, perfect.
I like that idea. Do the watering bags help, Michelle or Roger? Like if we had a...
I've never used them.
Okay.
I don't know.
MSU seems to like them a lot.
I wonder if Bill Schneider has some suggestions on that as well, or Jim Kilbasa. I don't think it's an insurmountable challenge, but I appreciate the conversation because I can ask Steve about the nearest location of water. I'm going to ask him what their staff potential is. And I can also, I don't know, Steve or Phil, who the contact would be at the township for that watering truck, but I imagine Rob McKenzie knows.
Yeah, Rob would know. That's a pretty big production pulling that watering truck out, though. We used to do it as part of the Kiwanis. We watered the Hazlitt beautification flowers, and you need someone with a tow hitch, and it's a pretty big commitment. I think that's a bit much to ask high school students to do.
Well, I just looked up, so the watering bags, like you can get 15 to 20 gallon bags for around $20 to $25.
Okay. That's encouraging.
Yeah, it seems like a reasonable commitment to make if we're going to spend several $100s on each tree.
Mm-hmm.
I can probably get a watering tap from the Ingham Land Bank. We've used that at the rain garden when we were trying to establish plants. Fire department also has, or the township also has some other taps that might be usable. So we could tap a fire hydrant. The challenge is getting a long enough hose. So I'll try and check where the fire hydrant is and check into the tap option as well.
How many trees are we thinking of planting there at Chippewa?
Michelle can correct me, maybe even share, or I can share my screen if you like.
I
But
can too. I've been updating this.
I think we talked about 15 to 20 at Chippewa and similar at Hazlitt
Okay.
High School.
Yeah, I think it said 12 to 15 per project is what I have. And I think looks like the last time we talked, maybe we were talking about a couple dozen.
Total or each site?
Total, but that Here, let me, would you guys like me to share what I've updated this spreadsheet?
Oh, sure,
I can
that'd
show you a few numbers here if we've got time.
be great.
Let's see. Can I share my screen? Let's see. Okay. Are you seeing that?
Yep.
Okay, I've cleaned it up a little bit and added some things. So let's see, 12 to 15 per project. So it looks like we talked about maybe anywhere from 24 to 36 trees. So I kind of left this editable so you guys could change, because right now we're over, this number is not real,
Mm-hmm.
not real, because we haven't really decided on sizes and quantity. So a lot of things are in here, like fruit trees are still in here, and we haven't talked about that in a while. So,
If we,
and then I have some information down here on the cost of individual trees and what might be available for fall.
seems like we could modify the fruit tree budget a little bit and get us back into
Mm-hmm.
one other, or maybe we're skipping around a little bit. I'll
We
wait
are
on
a little
that.
bit.
But there's a memorial tree that there's been a nonprofit that has donated to a couple $100 in memory of Cynthia Sarver, John Sarver's wife. So we're also looking for a site for a memorial tree. Just to throw that in there in terms of big trees and potential locations for that. John has also offered to add to that $200 if it costs more than $200 to plant that or make a sign. Anyway, so watering bags. I'll check with Steve Lathrop and Steve Kioski, although it has been a little bit of a challenge to get a hold of them. If folks like the idea of the 26th for one of the planting events, it would be nice to have someone who's willing to help coordinate that. Because I'm going to be sort of tied up with this recycling event. I can help
Yeah,
pre-planning,
I can
but
coordinate that. You're right.
excuse me?
I'm willing to do that, and I think I've got access to the key clubs at both the Okemos High School and the Caswell High School. So I think we could tap into each of them for these planting events. How
Awesome.
big of a hole are we digging for these trees, Michelle?
I guess that depends on what we purchase. I'm not sure what Jim, again, I don't have the details about what Jim had recommended, so I don't know how large those are. The largest thing that I priced out were 5-gallon pots from Wild Type, but I think Jim's were bigger.
All right.
Yeah, Jim's were, I think, 3 or 4 inch trees, and I talked to Rob McKenzie about digging some holes, and he was up for that. He just, as long as there's not a water emergency happening, we should be able to dig 12 to 15 holes. And then the supplier offered to drop them off and just put them in the holes. But what else we need besides that? I mean, we need to finish that, maybe prep the holes. Probably need to dig them before the event and prep them. I don't know what all is involved with that, the prepping.
I think your best bet would be to pick trees that are going to be successful with the ground you've got to work with, and not get in. You try to avoid doing a lot of soil amendment, because eventually the tree's going to outgrow that little space you give it, and it's going to move into the rest of the soil that's there. So trying to match best you can the tree with the site. Also want to make, probably on your radar already, but making sure you call Miss Dig first.
Good points. I think Jim had, I don't know that there's been soil testing. of that area. I don't know exactly how we would determine how much clay, sand, whatever loam is in that area, but that's another
It's
good.
probably a lot of clay, I bet.
That might be another question for the schools. But Phil, do you have any thoughts on that, or Roger?
Well, I think we have time. It's probably worth it to do a couple of soil samples from where we want to plant these at the two schools and get those tested by MSU or by the Extension Service, so we have better information. My guess is it's clay too, but let's find out for sure.
I don't know exactly where the site is, but it's possible the school's got some information about that already. So it's certainly worth asking them.
Okay,
It could.
sounds good. I can check into the testing options. Does anyone have a contact at MSU for that, or?
I can send that to you if you like.
Okay. Awesome, good idea, Phil.
And then in terms of the dates, if we do the 26th, or excuse me, the 25th, no, 26th for Hazlitt, I'm sorry, for Okemos, we could then do the third following Saturday for Hazlitt. That'd break up the work for DPW for one thing, to not have to dig all these holes at once, and allow us to coordinate it better as well.
I like that idea. Great. Well, I'm glad we chatted here. What else is on people's minds? Questions? By the way, Roger did a nice handout for our farmers market, and we did talk about the possibility of people donating $1 for trees, something to sort of solidify their commitment. Maybe a suggested donation. Other thoughts about that, or other issues we want to talk about?
Can you remind me what the schedule is for the farmers market days?
Yes, it's Wednesday from, I think it's 3 to 7,
Okay.
and Saturdays, is that 10 to 2? Phil, do you recall?
I think it's 8 till 2.
8 to 2. I think you're
So
right.
the new market, Michelle, we're opening a new marketplace on the green at the end of August, early September. There's going to be a great deal of attention to that. So I think if we can get in there, I'm confident Luann will let us in there, and get our own booth even. We'll get some really good traffic.
Yes.
But I like the idea of asking for a donation. I also like the idea of us pre-printing up some postcards. So if we give them a sapling, we ask them to register their tree and send it back to us, so we know who it is, the plant is tree, and then we do some kind of follow-up in a year. I think that would be true if we give them out at the farmers market, or we give them out at the recycling day.
I like that idea. Would you or one of your staff be able to just do a draft of that, Phil?
Sure, I can be responsible for that. We can get it printed up here as well.
And then I can share what Roger helped us put together, and
Okay.
any of that is usable.
Yep.
Roger,
Things are better here. Overall, the election is over, and so I've got a lot more time. Michelle, that revised price list that you just shared with us, would you mind sending me a copy of that? Or-
I've been tinkering with it while we've been talking. So, Leroy, let me send you an even newer one than the one I sent you this morning, and you can circulate it to whoever needs it.
Great.
awesome. Thank you, guys. Obviously, the phone lines are open. Email. Any parting comments? Just questions related or
And
not?
I lost my signal for a second, so I guess I just need to know when the first event is going to be. If want to do distribution on the September 23rd farmers market, I would need to be prepared to turn those trees around.
Let's,
Well, maybe we'd actually pick them up the 21st, and that would give me an extra day to make sure you guys get yours, and we can get our volunteers working on our sale ones.
I know based on this recycling event, I'm going to be pretty much out of commission that entire week.
Okay.
So I'm thinking it might be better to go to the 30th for the first distribution, or even let's see. Well, let's see, October 3rd.
Okay. Just thinking ahead too, if we don't want the trees, especially bare root trees, if they're in bare root trees, you don't want sitting around too long before they get distributed. So township, if your first distribution isn't going to be until the 3rd, you guys might want to do your own order to make, to get those sooner, so they're not sitting around with us for a week before you get a chance to give them out to people.
So Michelle, we can't get these saplings until the 21st. Is that the supply problem we're finding?
That's for the bare root trees, yes. For the plugs, I'm still waiting to hear exactly when we could get those. It might be a little sooner,
Okay.
but probably not before maybe the second week of September at the earliest.
Okay.
The 23rd is possible. I mean, we're going to be wanting to give out information on the recycling event as well. And it sounds like the new market will be open. I mean, maybe we should take advantage of the slightly better weather. I'm just thinking of my own schedule being out of it, but we do have other people besides me who live and work in the township.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we really do need to expand this, Leroy. I'm willing to help a lot more than I have been, and we can find some other volunteers. It shouldn't all be on your shoulders alone. We could, for one thing, go to the environmental commission. You might get some volunteers out of there, and we can go to the service clubs, Rotary, Kiwanis, RP clubs. And once you put out the word that we need help with this distribution at the farmers market and the recycling day, I'm confident that we can get 20 or more volunteers for at least one event.
Well, there's 3 events on the 26th. There's the tree planting, there's the tree distribution, there's the farmers market, and there's the recycling event. I guess that's 4, but let's talk about, we don't have to decide right now, but maybe we could shoot for the 23rd, just because Michelle brings up the issue we don't want bare roots sitting around, and then try and staff that at the market. Have a table at the market if we have enough staff to do that on the 26th.
Yeah, I think if you could do 23rd, 26th, 30th, and 3rd, that would be a reasonable timeline, I think, to expect the trees to hold up.
Would there be any chance we'd have them for the 19th, the Saturday, the 19th market? I think trying to do it Wednesday and Saturday might be a bit of a challenge, but I think Saturday we might have an easier time getting volunteers.
Our green team might want to be there at on the 19th, so we could give out information. We could begin promoting it even sooner, like as soon as the new market opens up, and have people promoting the trees, promoting the recycling event, promoting the tree planting event. Just thinking out loud here, but
Yeah, if you guys do that, if you'd be willing to have something from the district too to promote our sale, that would be great, because the distribution's mostly going to be, sounds like, after our sale. So if there was a chance for us to have something there, it'd be great.
I love that idea because then you could also help train our volunteers about how to answer questions.
Mm-hmm.
So, are we thinking like September 12th or 19th?
Yeah.
Is the market open on the 5th? Probably. I'm thinking it probably is open on the 5th. It's Labor Day weekend. Anyway, thanks for the conversation. It's nice to see some of this coming together, and I appreciate all of you.
We're gonna do this. And Michelle, thanks for your patience with us.
Oh yeah. No, every time you get something new off the ground, it takes time.
It does.
And it sounds like there's a lot of expertise and sounds like you guys have a lot of the information you need. If you need me to prep something, any information or anything like that, just give me some lead time. I've got a lot of information, but if there's a specific format that you're looking for, specific information, just
Well, the
I've got
one
a
thing-
lot of things kicking off this fall.
I don't know, maybe we've already put this together, but one thing I would like to see us do is when we give out these saplings, bare root or plugs, is to have a one-page sheet of how to care for, how to plant and care for this. So
Yeah, we have like a 7-page document. But yeah, we can work on that for sure.
that'd be great. Terrific.
And I think something so people choose a tree that's going to be appropriate for where they're going to plant it. That would be something I'd also want to have.
Yeah.
Right tree, right place, and all that.
We can print it on both sides as well. And it can also have a good plug for you guys as well. So that,
That'd be cool.
Nope. No pun intended. I think the Nature Center is also doing a native plant sale, which we may want to promote. Anyway, I will send out Roger's handout and the other. It's a two-pager that it referred to Michelle's website, I believe. But if we can tweak that and we can get a postcard, and I like the idea of maybe tagging. People could send a picture and maybe tag their tree. We could put that on Facebook or something. But we can talk more about that as we move forward. Roger, I really appreciate your insights.
Sure.
Any other
We're gonna
parting?
get together again sometime, or is this it?
I like the idea of touching base again. Could we do a similar touch base next Friday?
Mm-hmm.
Would that be out of the question?
great idea. I think if we don't get meeting weekly on this, we're not going to get the momentum we need to kick this off in September.
Sounds good. I want to do the 14th at 11. Does that work for you, Michelle and Roger?
Yeah, I'll be out of town up until that, so but I can tune in at that point. But
Yeah, fine with me.
but just so you know, you're not. I'll be out of town Sunday through Wednesday. So.
Okay. Well, maybe we can bring some others up to speed, and I'll keep it to a brief meeting, but I love the idea of continuing to touch base, so there's a slight possibility I might be out that day, but you can still meet without me. There's 75.3% chance I'll be here.
Close enough.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks, all right. Thanks,
Okay.
Raj. Thanks, Michelle.
Have a good weekend.